Nostalgia, you say, right? Yeah, I get it, I understand. Nostalgia takes us all back to a place. I mean, whether it's toys, cartoons, games, fashion, culture, music, the 80s era, the best era, the 90s era. I mean, whatever takes you back to that place in time, right? I mean, nostalgia puts a smile on us all. It takes us back to that happy place. Welcome to Nothing Like Nostalgia. It's your host, Milo. It's episode 7. Episode 7. So I don't know if you guys remember in episode 5, we actually spoke about like movies, cartoons and stuff. And I actually did a poll, and I completely forgot to give you the results on episode 6. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you those results. I'm gonna post it here on the screen, but I'm gonna say it as we're going. So remember when we were doing like which one would you prefer, if it's like Terminator or RoboCop and stuff like that. So I posted it on Instagram.
Yes.
And I did get results, and some of the results were kind of crazy. So let me just go over the results here. So for Star Wars against Star Trek, Star Wars won. It was 74% to Star Wars and 26% Star Trek, which I kind of figured that was going to go like that. Now, Freddy versus Jason. Jason won. It was 63% versus Freddy, who had 37%. Terminator and RoboCop. I have Terminator at 71% and RoboCop at 29%. Now, mind you, this is all off Instagram, and I had about 50 to 60 people that voted. So yeah, this is off my Instagram page only. Gremlins versus Critters. Gremlins took that 78% versus 22%. Chucky versus the Leprechaun. Chucky took that as well, 90% versus 10%. This was the interesting one to me. I thought this one was going to go the other way. So X-Men versus Spider-Man. X-Men took it at 61%. And Spider-Man took it at 39%. I literally thought it was going to be close. I didn't think it was going to be that widespread. But I didn't even think X-Men would win. So that one took me way off guard. And the last one, Power Rangers versus VR Trooper. This was a landslide. 100% 100% for the Power Rangers. Nobody voted for VR Troopers, which is sad. VR Troopers was a great show. But yeah, so those were the results for the podcast, episode 5, where we talk about movies and film. So let's get into it. It's going to be quick. Remember, I told you last episode I was going to talk about Ghostbusters Afterlife. It's been about 3.5 weeks.
Busted.
Oh, by the way, we talked about the last one. I just got this signed by Jason David Frank. I know it's for those of you on YouTube that can see. I just got this portrait signed by Jason David Frank. On all other platforms, I have a portrait of the Green Dragon Zord. I saw Jason David Frank, aka Tommy Oliver, 2 days ago at a comic book shop here in Tampa, Florida, and he was able to sign this with a few other things. So that's why I have it posted here. So yeah, it's a portrait, and there's only 11 of these, so I have number 6 out of 11. So I have the one that's exactly in the middle. So. And he pointed that out to me. So that's what you see here in the background for those of you that are watching on YouTube. I know those of you that are listening like on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you can't really see it. But if you check out the YouTube video, you can definitely see it on there. So it's been about like 3.5 weeks, roughly 3.5 weeks since Ghostbusters Afterlife has came out. I watched it twice. I watched it opening night, and then I watched it the following. I enjoyed it.
Yes.
I think it did justice to the first two. I'm a part of a lot of Ghostbusters group, and I actually got the Ecto one popcorn container too. And I'm a part of a lot of Ghostbusters groups on Facebook, Instagram, and there was a lot of mixed reviews. For the most part, a lot of the people liked it. I felt like maybe like there was like a good like 25 to 30% of the real fans actually really didn't like it. Now, could there have been some better writing? I think so. There was a lot of parts where it was kind of tricky and it was a little questionable. Overall, I would give it an 8 out of 10. To me, it was a great movie. So far to date, today is the 14th, December 14th, 2021. And so far, this movie has grossed worldwide $147.2 million. And the budget for this film, I believe, was... I think it was like $75 million was the budget for this film. So they're close to doubling it. I don't know if they've lost, like, with the marketing and everything. You never know until, like, the box office really closes and, all the numbers are final. Um, but I'm going to tell you how much actually the 1984 film, the very first film, they actually had a worldwide box office of 295 million, and their budget was 30 million. So they almost 10 times over their budget, um, which is great for back in the 80s. That was 1984. And then in 1989, um, Ghostbusters 2, they had a worldwide box office making up 215.4 million. Um, and let's see, their budget on that film was 37 million. So they didn't make as much as the first one. I mean, granted, it was 5 years later, but yeah, that's what it is so far right now. Um, and mind you, this is during a pandemic, so um, I just want to throw that out there, because a lot of people are still not going to movies. I mean, I've seen a lot of fans saying like, "Hey, like I still can't go. I gotta wait, for it on DVD." The pandemic is a very real thing, so just still, I know there's still a lot of people that haven't even watched it yet that are fans, and that I've seen them post pictures of posting their like off of certain platforms where you can pre-order it.
What?
So a lot of people are still waiting to watch it because they can't go out. So yeah, so like I said, there's certain parts of the movie. Overall, the script was great. Um, Ivan Reitman's son, Jason Reitman, was the one that actually directed it.
Yes.
And it's great that they actually. I didn't think Egon was going to be in it at all.
What?
So for Egon to be in it, and for Egon to be like like connecting with his granddaughter, that McKenna Grace, which is Phoebe, in the movie, to me was something very clever that they did. Even to bring Egon back at the end in CGI form, which I've read also that actually Ivan Reitman, which is the original director, actually had to put on the jumpsuit to actually kind of like play that part.
What?
So yeah, like I said, there was a few parts like when the original Ghostbusters showed up at the very end. It's like they popped out of the field out of nowhere. And I know Phoebe was talking to Ray when they were arrested about Ghostbusters, and that her grandfather was a Ghostbuster, and that he wanted Egon to burn in hell.
What?
And they really didn't get too much into the backstory. They just kind of say he went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and kind of just left. Took all the equipment, all his stuff, and just kind of left. And left the other three just in New York.
Holy moly!
Winston became like a multi-billionaire tycoon.
Yes.
And Peter does teaches at a college for like marketing and ads and stuff like that. I think it was marketing, yeah. So that part was great. Like I liked how they did that part, but when they actually hung up the phone and nothing happened, he was like, hello, and because at the very end he was like, well, I'm his granddaughter, and that's when the cop came and hung up. So I mean, that part was good. I just didn't like how they just kind of just wind up just coming at the end, just kind of out of nowhere, like in the woods, in the field, and I was just like, that's interesting. No car, no anything. Maybe I would have done it a little different. Maybe I would have had them come while the Ecto-1 was still locked up, have them break the Ecto-1 free. So it's something like that, where it was more epic. To me, that would have been more epic, where they would have came in, took the car, and helped the kids out. So, I mean, outside of that, the gatekeeper and the keymaster, that was I already kind of knew from the previews that Paul Rudd was going to be the keymaster, just because of the preview when he was in Walmart with the terror dog. So I'm like, oh, okay, he's definitely going to be the keymaster. And I didn't expect him to suit up anyways. If they do the next film, hopefully, we get to see him suit up.
Busted.
I want to see all the Ghostbusters, actually, the new ones, Phoebe, Lucky, Trevor, and Podcast actually all suit up together. Podcast actually never really suited up, which kind of
what?
It kind of it for me was a letdown. I was just like, man, I really want to see all four of them bust together. The new crew, and they all kind of busted separately. And I love the concept of the film. And at the very end, when so there was an after credit at the very end, where Janine is talking to Winston they actually played a clip, deleted scene from the original Ghostbusters at the after credits, where she gave Egon a coin, and there was only two. You know, this is when they were kind of like, I guess, intimate during that time in 1984 in the movie, not in real life, but in the movie. And then fast forward to 2021, where they're in the movie. Winston started his own company, became very successful, multi-millionaire or billionaire tycoon. And one thing he mentioned, he was like, I loved Ghostbusting, So what he did when they went back to Somerville, I don't know who was driving, but at the end you see the Ecto One. It looks like he bought the warehouse because the warehouse was empty and it still had the pole and everything, but it was just it was vacant.
What?
So he went in, there was a mess inside the warehouse. And then you see him waving and bringing the Ecto One in. So somebody, either Ray or Peter, which I'm thinking is Ray, is driving the Ecto One in, or maybe one of the kids, who knows? Maybe Trevor, who knows? I have no idea. So they're driving the Ecto One in, and he's just patting it. So it looks like he's gonna kind of rebuild the Ghostbusters and have it, maybe build out a franchise or have it come back in New York. So yeah, I mean, there is potential and opportunity for there to be future Ghostbusters films. But overall, I think the writing was very dope. I don't think it was that bad. Like I said, I give it an 8 out of 10. There was just some parts where I could have done, where I feel like the writers could have done a little better. But again, I'm not. This is my opinion. I'm not a screenwriter. They're professionals, and I'm sure Jason grew up with the Ghostbusters. He was on set. He was in Ghostbusters 2. So I get it. He did a great job. In my perspective, I felt like the writing in certain areas could have been a little better. I love the way Gozer looked. A lot of people saying Gozer looked. Everybody has to understand, this is not 1980. Everybody was kind of still looking for like that 80s feel. Film has evolved. I mean, of course, if Afterlife would have came out in the 90s, right after Ghostbusters 2, it would have been completely different. But film has evolved. This is 30-something odd years later.
Holy moly.
So you can't expect to get that old feeling still. I feel like they did the best job they can with what they were given, with the evolution of film. So I feel like overall the film it did justice connected to the first two. There was a lot of other props, and other things that were actually in the movie from the first one, like some sayings and stuff like that. And it was great. Like I said, I feel like the film was great overall. I watched it twice and I want to watch it a third time, but I watch these movies twice to see if I missed anything the first time around. And I'm sure I missed something the second time around. And still to this day, even on, in just the original movies, just older movies that I watch now, there'll be some things and some sayings and some Easter eggs that I never caught from 15, 20 years ago. So I'm sure there's a lot of other things I didn't catch. They are talking about making a Ghostbusters 2.
What?
I guess the Jason and his partner, I think his name was Gil, the other director, met up with Sony, and they're talking about bringing Vigo back.
Holy moly.
On part 2. So I'm up to see him. Hopefully he's not the main villain, like Gozer was. I like how they brought back Gozer, but I'd rather see maybe somebody from the real Ghostbusters cartoons,
yes,
somebody, another Sumerian, or just one of the cartoon ghosts that was real big. So I'm not opposed for Vigo to come back. If he's in the film, that'd be dope. I don't think he should be the main villain. Maybe they should do several villains in part 2. Who knows? But yeah, I hope they're gonna make a part 2. It sounds like it. The way it ended, it kind of felt like it. So we'll see. Right now, the box office, like I said, is still at 147.2 million today, which is almost double of the budget that they had. So that's still good. Hopefully, we still have another month in the movie theaters to run up these numbers. So Rotten Tomatoes gave it a bad. Not such a decent score. They gave it I think it was a 63. 63, yeah. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 63, which I don't think it was. I don't think it should have been a 63. It was definitely a lot better than that. But let me know what you guys think. I think overall, like I said, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. It was a great movie. It did justice. Let me know what you guys feel about it. Again, this is episode 7. I am your host, Milo. And until next time, stay safe. And if I don't see you to the holidays, happy holidays, because Christmas is right around the corner. It's in 11 days. Stay blessed, everybody. Peace.